Solve for all thetas in between 0 and 2 pi. All right, well, we've got a sine squared, and we got some number floating around. So I'm thinking quadratic thoughts. So if I'm thinking quadratic thoughts, let's get this -1 over to the left so I can have it equal 0, and then I can deal with maybe possibly zero product property thoughts. Let's put things in order too. 2 sine squared theta plus 3 sine theta, and if I were to add 1 to both sides, plus 1 equals 0. Now, I did all this, zero product property, quadratic talk, and you're like, what do you mean? Well, if I were to look at this guy right here and factor that would factor to 2x plus, would it be 1? Yeah. And then x plus 1, right? Well, this is no different. It's just instead of x squared, I have sine squared. So this factors out to 2 sine theta plus 1 parentheses sine theta plus 1 equals 0. Okay? Now, zero product property says that this times that equals 0 means this equals 0 and that equals 0. So let me do two different problems. 2 sine theta plus 1 equals 0. Let me wave my hands a little bit, do a little bit of quick math. Subtract 1, divide by 2 would give me sine theta equals, leave myself some space, minus 1 over 2. Now I need to get theta all by itself. The way I get theta all by itself is I inverse sine both sides like so. That leaves me with just theta. And the inverse sine of -1/2 is negative pi over 6. Now that's no good. That's no good because I care about stuff in between 0 and 2 pi. Something that's negative doesn't fall into that category. So if I were to add 2 pi to this, or 12 pi over 6, that gives me 11 pi over 6. Now, 11 pi over 6 lives in quadrant 4. Okay? Sine is negative in quadrants 4 and quadrant 3. Now, if this is going to live in quadrant 3, I have to do some reference angle stuff. So since this is 1/6 pi away from the x-axis, then 7 pi over 6 is also 1/6 pi away from the x-axis in the third quadrant. There you have it. Now, that was this red underlined stuff. Now, keep in mind, I'm not done, so let me box this off to see if I get a few more answers. All right. Let's figure out what this is. I have sine theta plus 1 equals 0. Zero product property. Subtract 1, and sine theta equals -1. Inverse sine, both sides, like so. And the inverse sine of -1 is negative pi over 2. So theta is negative pi over 2. Once again, this is no good because it's negative. So we add 2 pi, which in this case is the same as 4 pi over 2. And that ends up giving me 3 pi over 2. Now 3 pi over 2 is the y-axis underneath the x-axis. So this is in between quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. So if you're like, so what quadrant's in it? What is it in? Neither. Which means this is going to give me just one angle because I'm not going to try to figure out what quadrant it is in when it's not even in a quadrant. So this guy only has 3 answers, and those are my 3 answers right there. All right?